He would be John McMullen. I would be Jody McDonald. That makes us the Mac guys. This is Birds 365. Still got an hour left to go on this Wednesday edition. Appreciate Chris Franklin hopping on with us, talking all things Birds. Down there at the gathering yesterday. How many of you guys were actually down there, J-Mac?
I'm going to say about 20 or so. A little bit. I'm going to say 15 to 20 or so. Nick Sirianni said hello to all of us. A little dap for all of us again. So he's smart from that perspective.
He understands where his bread can be buttered via the media.
By the way, Jody, I heard something about Zach Ertz that is a little bit problematic.
Really?
For me. For a couple reasons, and it ties into the Jalen Reagor slot thing as well. We heard, and look, coach speak is coach speak. Ultimately, and again, I haven't written about this because it's only one source, but it's the radio, it's streaming. We can throw some things out there, and it's a one-sided source. So Zach was told if he does come back, he's going to be the second tight end, which doesn't surprise me. Dallas Goedert's going to be the top tight end, and he was given supposedly a percentage of snaps, about 35% of the time, 35% of the time he'll be on the field, which is another reason he doesn't want to be here. My concern from the Eagles' perspective is the whole, we're going to take advantage of the players. We're going to build the offense around the strengths of the players. Guess what, Jody? If Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz are here, well, your two tight ends are better than your three receiver look. Yeah. I say it all the time. Doug Peterson didn't want to play two tight ends. People think he wanted to play 12 personnel. No, he played 12 personnel because those were his best players.
Right.
Now, if this coaching staff, if that's true, and it's a big if, I'm not saying it's completely true. If that's true, that concerns me. And then the second part was Jalen Reagor saying, I'm going to play in the slot before backtracking a little bit, which, by the way, I think he should. That's where I think he would be, like Chris said, the most successful. I think that's the spot you could take advantage of his strengths more. But again, we've heard this lip service of interchangeable parts, taking advantage of this, just a little bit, throw that in the mix, a little bit of an early concern for me.
If your source is good, and you know how good your source is, that said these conversations have been had, and I will at least give the Eagles this much credit. The best policy is always honesty as far as I'm concerned. And if they truly believe that's from afar, big picture thing, they think Zach Ertz's position on the team would be, if he were in, and accepting of the fact that he's an Eagle and giving it 100% that they figure he's going to be on the field about 35% of the time. He deserves to know that. He should know that ahead of time. Probably not what he wanted to hear. Zach Ertz, I'm sure, has still a top flight evaluation of Zach Ertz, despite the fact that his numbers were down last year, kind of like Carson Wentz. Well, why were the numbers down? Everything but it was me. Same thing with Zach Ertz. Zach, why were your numbers down? Oh, everything but me. Don't look at me. Look at everything else but. So he probably isn't going to be happy when he hears that 35% number. Is he going to do better than that elsewhere? If he is either traded or is released and then signs a free agent contract, is he still a 65, 70% of the time on the field snaps kind of guy?
Boy, I think so. I mean, it's tough to project coming off last season. I think if he's healthy, this is one of the greatest, and I say that in all seriousness, this is one of the greatest pass receiving tight ends in NFL history. I think he's savvy enough and smart enough to be a tight end one in this league, especially because there's so few real old school tight ends. So the fact that he's not a great blocker, he's never been a great blocker, I think you get over that pretty quickly. I think everybody around the league knows their tight ends aren't going to be great blockers. So, I think he's going to play a lot. Depends. We'll see where he ultimately ends up. I don't think it's going to be here. That's pretty consistent. I've been everybody's been pretty consistent. I think he's moved on. I do find the number, that's my biggest concern. I find it hard to believe the coaching staff said you're going to play 30. They don't know. No coaching staff. So I find it hard to believe that they would throw out that number. That's one of my concerns. But it is a little bit weird when you add it into Jalen Reagor's comments of, I think there's been this narrative that Doug Peterson is very stuck in his ways, and that this coaching staff is young and innovative and different, and they're just going to look at what they have. And I got to tell you, Jody, at the end of the day, they're going to be like every other coaching staff. And by the way, that's not a bad thing. They're going to say, this guy does this well, this guy does this well, this guy's playing here, this guy's playing here. I believe that from day one. I continue to believe it.
Two things. Number one, your source, and I know you're not going to reveal your source here or anywhere else for that matter. You made it sound like the information of 35% was coming more from a coaching standpoint than a front office / executive standpoint. Is that the case?
No, it's coming. It's coming. Well, how do I phrase this? It's not coming from a coach. I can say that. I find it. In fact, that's one of my issues with it. I find it very hard to believe a coach would talk like that. A coach would hamstring himself into saying, oh, this guy's going to play 35% of the snaps. Where I think there's validity to it. And, people, you and I can have a conversation, come out of it with two different stories. The validity to me is saying Dallas Goedert is going to be the tight end one, no matter what, right, which I believe, which I wholeheartedly believe. And by the way, should be, because he's the one who's going to be here long term. So he should be. We talk about this transition phase. He should be. My only point about the number is coaches tend not to talk like that. That's why. But the larger and the more important part people should take from this is, I think, they aren't going to be interchangeable. It's going to be, again, what I just said. You do this well, you do this well, you do this well. Let's take advantage of what you do well and play you in these particular spots other than, moving around.
Now, this has to be a hypothetical, which I wish it weren't, but it is. So we'll go from there. If Zach Ertz just decided to show up today for whatever reason, he decided, I need to play this year, and I'm under contract to the Eagles, so, yeah, I got to show up, and I got to prove that I had a bad year last year because of injury, because of a lot of other circumstances, not because my game has dropped at all. If that were to happen, isn't the mantra of the head coach competition makes everybody better? Isn't that one of his basic tenets? It's competition, so there should be a competition for tight end one, should there not?
No, there shouldn't be.
Why not?
There isn't.
It's all about competition.
You and I have been talking about this.
Tell me the head coach is lying to us already. He's only been here a couple months. He's already lying.
I don't think it's a lie as much as a crock of but look, there is coach speak. We all know there's coach speak, and some people are better at obfuscating the coach speak, and I think Nick is better at that than, say, Doug Peterson. But yeah, for these people who believe that the 53rd man on the roster, Willie Howard, who just got signed yesterday, has a chance to beat out Fletcher Cox. Look, I got some real estate in Brooklyn to sell you. So
that's very true. But Willie Howard, Fletcher Cox, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, there's a little difference between those two combinations. And I don't know, I heard it somewhere. Oh, it might have been right here on Birds 365 within the last 10 minutes. one of the greatest pass-catching tight ends in the history of the National Football League, Zach Ertz. Are you telling me he couldn't beat Dallas Goedert out?
But you also heard life isn't in a vacuum, and it's not in a vacuum. And if it were a true competition, yes, I would say. But, either way, Jody, we know Zach Ertz isn't going to be here in 2022. Best case scenario is he plays out his contract and he goes somewhere else. Dallas Goedert's going to be here long term for a transitioning team with a young quarterback. You would be doing a disservice to this organization to not be moving forward with Dallas Goedert at tight end. All these things enter the equation. That's why this competition stuff is goofy, because it's not real. It is a little bit unrealistic. It is a little bit high schoolish because it doesn't take into account age, contracts, money, and all this, as we see all across the league, not just in Philadelphia. These are real problems you have to deal with in the NFL. So it's a crock of shit. There, I cursed on.
Fair enough. I appreciate it. You put a smile on my face. Since we're off on this tight end jag, why don't we stay there? If you are that married to Dallas Goedert, which I'm not saying is a bad thing because Dallas Goedert is a very good player, shouldn't the Eagles be talking to him about a contract extension?
Yeah,
do you want to go down the road year by year and then all of a sudden be in a Zach Ertz situation where he's not happy and he wants more money? We know the whole get it done before it becomes something that's imminent is a philosophy the Eagles have used. They bought into younger players and done the earliest possible contract extension. Should they be thinking along those lines with Dallas Goedert?
No, probably not, but for two reasons. One, as much I think everybody, Pro Football Focus, just graded him as the 5th best tight end of football. I'm talking about Dallas Goedert. Everybody knows he's a good player, but there have been injury issues. He hasn't been on the field at all times. We haven't seen him reach the potential. So that's one. Number two is they just don't have the money right now. And next year they're going to be flush with money because of Carson Wentz. So you just simply be honest with Dallas. We're going to take care of you. We don't have the money right now. Next year we're going to have the money.
No, wait, hold on. Isn't his best friend Zach Ertz? And you're going to tell him we're going to take care of you? Didn't the Eagles tell Zach Ertz they were going to take care of him too? How's that worked out?
Hey, I don't think they're best friends, but no, I mean, they play the same position. Avonte Maddox is Dallas. They live together. So that's his roommate. Okay. That's his best friend on the team. But either or, my point being also Dallas is coming off his rookie deal. So it's tight end. It's not a value position around the NFL. We talked about the Atlanta Falcons and Kyle Pitts. That's one of their strategies. They're getting an X receiver for tight end money in Kyle Pitts. Tight end, you could say if it comes down to it, you could just franchise tag him and be done. He's not going anywhere. So you have that safety net.
The franchise tag is a good safety net. You're right. And backup tight end. It was intriguing. Somebody put up a picture of it, and I had not given enough thought to the Eagles. It's probably a practice squad spot, but I actually liked Tyree Jackson as a development quarterback when he was picked a couple of years ago coming out of Buffalo. I watched a couple of his games specifically to see what kind of quarterback he was going to be. And I didn't think he was going to be drafted in the first couple of rounds. He surely wasn't. I didn't think he was a star quarterback in the making. But I actually thought he was a developmental guy who, if everything fell right into place, he could become a starting quarterback in the league. Within 2 years, everybody's given up on that, and nobody wants to give him a shot as a quarterback. And the Eagles have him in camp as a prospect tight end.
Yeah.
Now, he's a big dude. And, by the way, he's put on about 10 or 15 pounds of muscle from when he used to play quarterback. So he's a bigger dude than he was as a quarterback at the University of Buffalo. Is this kid got a chance to stick? Is he a practice squad guy? Is this just a training camp exercise and then Tyree Jackson's going to be elsewhere before the Eagles ever play their first game this season? What is your read on the whole Tyree Jackson as a development tight end for the Eagles?
Well, I think it's exactly that. He's a developmental player. So I do think it's a practice squad situation. This is guy changing positions. You're right. He's 6'7", 250. So, I mean, he's huge. He's got more than enough size to play the position. He's only 23, Jody. So, he hasn't been out of Buffalo that long, University of Buffalo, obviously. He was still playing quarterback in the XFL in 2020 with, I think, DC, whatever that team was named. To me, it looks like a practice squad guy, at least for year one. But I think everybody looks to DC again in the NFL and the Washington football team and Logan Thomas, because Logan Thomas was a good quarterback at Virginia Tech, and now he's a really good tight end for the Washington football team. But it took him a while. It's not like a 6-month process. It's going to take a little bit of a while. But he is Tyree Jackson, very intriguing player for the Eagles. But I think it's more of a practice squad to start type thing.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Eagles have not made him available just yet.
No.
I actually had him on one of my shows on CBS Sports Radio. Ricky Saratella, we have him on. He's our draft guy. He gets to know the kids who are eligible for the draft actually pretty well. Gets a chance to talk to them and sets up interviews and stuff like that. And he got Tyree Jackson on my show for me. He set it up for me and helped me out, work it out so that he came on. He was a pretty smart kid. That impressed me as much as watching his film at Buffalo, that he was a pretty with it young man who knew what he needed to do and seemed motivated and driven and the like. If he's committed himself to become a tight end, I would not be surprised if he can actually pull it off, because he wasn't recruited out of high school, ends up at Buffalo, not exactly a football hotbed or factory. And he developed to the point where he did actually get drafted. So he showed me a little something at the quarterback position. I'm going to be rooting for him at the tight end position this year. I hope he sticks. Minimum practice squad. But if he actually gets a game or two with the big squad at some point during the season, that could be a guy who is part of the tight end mix going forward.
Yeah, I was just looking up Thomas because I think he's the guy. Logan is, let's see, he's 29 now. So it took him a while. But he caught 72 passes last season. He was really good.
Yeah,
and remember that
big number.
Yeah, he was really good last season.
How many receivers did the Eagles have who caught 72 passes last year?
I believe that would be 0.
That would be zippity doo dah. So yes, that if you're using him as a basis of comparison, that'd be a pretty good season. But the Redskins have always had good tight ends. Reed before him, into Logan Thomas. Their system just seems to work for the tight ends. The Eagles system used to work for the tight end when his name was Zach Ertz, and he was healthy. That's the other question I wanted to ask you. You mentioned Ertz and health and the like. How do we know if Zach Ertz is healthy? He's not going to show up for any of these camps. The Eagles are going to have conversations with other teams to try and trade him. I'm sure they're going to ask that same question that Jody McDonald's asking. Well, what is Zach Ertz's health actually like right now? Do you think he'll go and make himself available to teams if they want to see him? Is Zach doing any video stuff, getting his workouts on videotape that can be sent to other teams? How the hell do we know how healthy this guy is?
Well, I think the bigger concern is age and tread on the tire. I mean, if you're a team that's looking at Zach Ertz, I mean, he's 30 now, so he's on the wrong side of 30. Like last year, the injury was the high ankle sprain. So, I mean, that I don't think is a huge concern for teams. He's obviously healthy from that. I think if you go back to 2019, the broken rib, the lacerated kidney, those were more serious, obviously, but you're far off that now. I mean, those are healed. Maybe from a mental standpoint, you're worried about, but Zach is completely over that. So I don't think it's health as much as age. And of tread. I mean, a lot of receptions, a lot of yardage, a lot of games over the years, and that's always going to be a concern.
And we like to speculate here on Birds 365. That's what they pay us to do, as a matter of fact. We will get a third leg of the speculation as to where Zach Ertz will be and what he can do in this upcoming season, if not here in Philadelphia. Guy who covers the whole National Football League, does it for the NFL Network, but a Philly guy at heart. Mike Garafolo is going to join us next here on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
7-on-3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 98, is a proud sponsor of The Labor Show with J. Doc and Krause every Saturday night from 6 till 8 p.m. IBEW Local 98's highly trained and superbly skilled electricians are the best in the business, setting the highest safety standards in the electrical industry. So when you're planning your next industrial, commercial, or residential project, choose an IBEW Local 98 union contractor. Learn more at ibew98.org.
The future waits for no one, so we refuse to wait for it. We're not just pilots and engineers. We are pioneers. Today, battles are waged in nanoseconds, and planes are piloted from the other side of the world. We turn night into day and fly missions into space. The future's not coming. It's already here. This is the future. Join us and be the future.
The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fought. What's that? Huck and Fought. Go now to steersnacks.com.
Welcome to the Wildwoods, the perfect place where you can safely do everything or nothing at all. Catch a wave, take a nap, go for a drive.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.